Okay, guys, we have next speaker on stage. It's Hila Chechik from the Crazy Labs, publishing manager, and we're ready to listen about the road to hyper success. The stage is yours. Please welcome.
Thank you very much. So hello, everyone. I'm happy that you joined my session, The Road to Hyper Success, the Evolving Publisher Approach. So our agenda to this session, I will start with a small intro and some numbers about Crazy Labs. Then I will discuss the hyper-casual market during 2021 and 2022. And then we will talk about the new approach of publishing and why we need that. And we will finish with Crazy Labs' adaptive actions to those changes. So I'm very excited to be here. My name is Hila Chechik. I'm a publishing manager in Crazy Labs. I was the publishing manager of the hit games and my favorite, Lash Salon, Frozen Honey, and String Pool. I'm working closely with developers around the world on the next hyper-casual hit. I'm always trying to share data and knowledge with my partners and assist them to get the best results. So first, a bit numbers about Crazy Labs. We have over 5.4 billion downloads, which 1.2 billion downloads were during 2021. We have 250 million monthly active users and thousands of games that crossed the 100 million downloads. We have 3 main labs in the company, where the hyper casual, where I'm from, is the biggest one. On top of that, we have the casual lab making casual games and the innovation lab, which is more internal, new, different games that we do. So let's talk a bit about the hyper casual genre. You can see that in 2021, it seems that hyper casual is the strongest game genre. While other games genre grew a lot during 2020 and COVID time, it's interesting to see that hyper-casual genre kept growing with amazing increase of 15.4% year over year. And unlike the majority of other game genre that mostly declined compared to the previous year. You can see it here in the table. And if you ask what we will see for 2022, that's a great question. So in this diagram, you can see the projection for 2022. And for the first time, we see that mobile revenue will cross $100 billion and mobile games will dominate over 50% of the global market. I think that the more interesting part that mobile games will see another rise of almost 6%. And again, this is after a big increase during 2020 and 2021, and the COVID time. So it seems quite positive to us, and we expected that hyper-casual games will also increase during 2022. So after looking at the gaming market, now it's time to understand why publishers need to keep evolving. So basically, the main important reason is the fact that the industry changes all the time. If it's on a yearly basis, quarterly, monthly basis, it's all the time we're changing our platforms, our KPIs, the way we test. I'm sure you're all familiar with that. The hyper-casual market heavily affected by trends. So every time we see a new trend on TikTok or a new successful series on Netflix, like we had last year, Squid Games, we immediately see many games that are trying to follow those trends. We based our decisions and the action that we made on data. Data is the key. I'm sure you all agree. For example, in Crazy Labs, we're sending every month to our partners and our Click Dashboard members our market trend report. In this report, you can see the changes and the trends in the market. I want to share with you one example that according to our recent report of the number of prototypes of our subgenres. So you can see that in the last few months, we saw that simulation games are on the rise. while runners, that are still the majority of prototypes you can see here, they are declining a bit. And another change is Idle Arcade, the newcomer. I'm sure you notice. We see constantly increase every month of those number of prototypes. Another main change is on iOS. So if before iOS changes, this was the main platform to test and launch games, and only after that, Google Play will follow. With iOS 14 removing the IDFA, publisher had to adapt, and we moved testing and launching game on Google Play. But another change recently, the market is able to retest and launch games on iOS with few limitations, but still we do it. And publisher, including Crazy Labs, allowed to test both iOS and Google Play and launch games simultaneously on both platforms. So, for everything that I just showed you, we can understand that every studio need a publisher. They can adapt to the market and the trends and changes. It's very important. Now I want to take you to the changes that we did in Crazy Labs and why we did it. So in the last year, we start testing on TikTok and not only on Facebook. And why we did that? TikTok is the social media with the biggest new downloads in 2021, and it seems that it's going to be like that in 2022 as well, with younger audience in TikTok and more dominate through female. You can see in this diagram that for ages 18 to 34, there are only 22% female on Facebook, while 41, which is almost double, on TikTok. And we know that in hyper casual, the majority of players are female. So this is correlate great, and it's definitely place to test your game. And I can say that personally, I've noticed that there are games that get better CPIs on TikTok. If it's a game that based on a trend on TikTok for sure, or even runner games many times, and puzzles and other arcade, I see usually getting better CPI on Facebook. Again, it's not science, but this is what I saw personally. Second change that we did, it's not only test day one retention, but also usage in the first 24 hours. So publishers sometimes don't take it into consideration, but this is very important data, because if, for example, I have a game with 25, 26% retention, but 50 minutes usage time, that means that the core loop is great. Maybe they just finished the entire content of the game in the first day, or we need to give them another reason to come back to the game, but it's still a very potential game. It's really worth keep working on it. The third is that now we have a combination of different KPIs and not specific ones. And that's allow our developers a bigger chance to publish their game, because we know that different game genre need a different approach. And I will show you in the next slide our new table KPIs. So here you can see the way we work now. While there are many publishers say they have flexible KPIs, they usually kept the data and the decision for themselves if they continue with the game or not. But we opened that with our studios, we sent it to them, and we also posted it in our latest case study. So each studio knows exactly where his game stand and what are the expectations from his game. For example, if we will go in the first row, so if you have 11 cents on TikTok or 20 cents of Facebook, we're talking about CPI, and you don't have to have both TikTok and Facebook. We test them both parallel, but just to have one of them, you will need a minimum of 27% day one or 40 minutes, 24 usage time. Again, you don't have to have both, only one of them. If you have both, it's amazing, it's great. So this table take into consideration other game genres like puzzle and other arcade, which we usually know they have a higher CPI, but also higher usage time and retention. So, a summary of the changes that we have done, that what I spoke before. So if the old approach is that we need a specific CPI in order to move forward, sometimes we were struggling with another test and another test to lower the CPI in few cents. Now we have a combination of different KPIs, and this has increased the developer's chance to publish a game. If the old approach is that we're looking only at day one as a measure if we can continue working on the game, now we're monitoring also the usage in the first 24 hours and not only day one retention. If Facebook was the main platform that we test our games, now we're testing Facebook and TikTok in parallel. And if we test last year only in Google Play, now we're testing on both platforms, Google Play and iOS. So I want to share with you a case of a game that never reached the historic KPIs, but we still publish it. The name is Multimaze 3D. It's a puzzle game. So on the first time that we tested, we got 76-cent CPI, which is okay. But when we test on our dashboard, the CPI, we also get data for the day one retention and the usage time. And we saw there amazing numbers that we couldn't ignore. We saw 52% day one and almost 1 hour of playing time. So we know this game is very potential. We worked a bit to lower a bit the CPI, and we published that. This game now is very profitable. It became a global success and is almost reaching 30 million downloads. Another way that you can publish a game in Crazy Labs is our Publishing for All program. So Publishing for All is a great program that we have in Crazy Labs. It's usually for games that pass CPI and had good retention and usage, but somewhere in the process, the CPI went too high. We couldn't scale them. They weren't profitable enough or any other reason. So basically, usually other publisher will kill the game. We still publish it. Just a second. Sorry, it's jump. Okay, sorry for that. So we will still publish them. Okay, I'm here. I have some messages that jump from nowhere. Okay, so we will do the user acquisition and the monetization. It's not going to be in the scale like a hit game, but the important thing is that it will create a steady monthly income and a new revenue channel for the studio. And we know so many times this is crucial for our studios. So you can see an example of 3 games that we have in our Publishing for All program. Looking at this game, I know they're not approaching 100 million downloads, but get decent amount of downloads. If it's Barely Clash with 10 million downloads, Road Hills with 5.4 million, and Candles ASMR with almost 4 million downloads. Only the expected revenues for Publishing for All for 2022 is close to $20 million, and this is lots of money to our studios. I told you before that it's very important to us to be transparent, and another way that we do it is with our click dashboard. So every time you test your game in our dashboard, you have endless data and it's all online. So for every test, for every platform, and every creative, you can see the CPI, the CVR, the budget, the clicks, etc. And this data is for Facebook, TikTok, and both platforms, Google Play and iOS. When we move forward to the retention, you also can see your data on our dashboard. You can see the level funnel, the fail rate, time to complete, starter versus complete, and etc. And this is again on iOS and for Google Play. On top of that, when we publish a game, the developer can see in real time on a daily basis so much data on his game. If it's the downloads, the revenues, the profits on a monthly, quarterly, also daily, as I mentioned, the spend, the game KPIs such as day 1, day 3, day 7, A/B tests, crash reports, monetization data, and so much more. And it's very important because we know our studios don't publish every day a game, and they need to know what's going on with their game and not only waiting for us to tell them if something happened. So before I will end, I would like to introduce you our Crazy Hub program. So everything I explained here today and much more is part of the Crazy Hub program. This is accelerator program for a few months that studio get full mentoring of the hyper casual market, how to create games, how to make successful creative, how to publish a game. And this is during the accelerator, they get fund and the facilities from Crazy Labs. So this is a really great opportunity. We have hubs around the world. You can apply to the nearest one. You can see in the slide that we already published 5 games that came from the hub. So it's really great. The next round is starting very soon. So please hurry up and apply. So that's it. I hope you enjoy it. And please feel free to ask questions. I'm here. Thank you. Anything? Are there any questions? Okay, I will wait.
Hey, hey, hey. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you so much for your speech. Now we have several questions, actually a number of questions. Could you elaborate a bit more on what tools you use to measure usage 24 hours?
Can I elaborate about 24 hours? The first 24
About
hours?
what tools you use to measure usage on 24 hours?
This is our internal thing that we have inside. So it's nothing that I can too much explain. It's something that we have internally that we use it. And this is measure how long people play in the first 24 hours. So it's before the day 1.
Mm-hmm.
Any
Okay.
other question?
Thank you. You did not mention about arcade idle much. What is your opinion for arcade idle games?
Either arcade, yeah, I mentioned in my presentation that we really see increase. We have our report that we make. So every month we see increase in the number of prototypes and also in the top charts we see them. I think there will be on the rise because they are profitable. The retention there is really good, and the usage time, so you can add more ads. And studios seem to like it. I can personally say that every studio that I work with or want to have a game like that already have or they are working on the new prototypes and new ideas. So it's definitely something that's here to stay, in my opinion, anyways.
Thank you. Thank you. How long do you work with studios even when they do not give you a hit?
As long that we see that we have a good collaboration and good tests and good production value, we will keep work with them. I have studios that we work for a long time, like 2 years, and only now we are almost launching a game with them. So as long that the studio is good, if business wise it's still something that makes sense, and they have good production value, good ideation, and we have a good collaboration, we will keep working with them.
Thank you so much. Okay, what's the highest CPI a game have ever made?
A highest?
Highest.
I will tell you what, in our dashboard, now we have like a limit that if after a certain amount, it's more than 1 point something cents, it stopped. But I saw games that stopped with $20 and $10. I believe it will go down if we will continue with the tests. But if we will take them out, there are only few with 10, 20. Highest I see that it more makes sense, it's more like $6, $7.
Thank you. The next question, typically, what is your criteria to select the game? I believe the question relates not only to CPI, but other parameters you would probably consider the game to be taken into publishing.
Okay, so you're talking about games, not prototypes, the one that we already tested them CPI, right?
Yeah.
So I will talk about both of them. I will take it to both directions. So if you send us prototypes, if we decide to test it or not, it depends on many criteria. The production values, if it's we think it can be a hit, if we tested many of the same, let's say the same TikTok trend, or we don't think it's something that is going to be a success, we won't approve it. So this is for prototypes. But if it's something it's innovative or it's something trendy that we think that there is a chance, or it's something that we didn't test like a while and we want to retest it. So those something that we would like to see, of course, that it looks hyper casual, the colors are good, the production value is good, etc. For games that we already tested CPI, how we decide if we publish them or not, of course, we have our KPIs, but we're more flexible than that. So as I explained before, when we test the CPI, we get the retention and usage data as well. So even if we see a game with a bit higher CPI, but we see good retention and good usage time, we know we have potential, and we would like to keep working on this game. If a game has an amazing CPI, of course, there's no doubt we will continue work on the game and work on the build, on the retention. So usually we have our KPIs. If we think, but still, if we see that the game can be profitable, even if it's not exactly in our table, we will still publish it. So this is my answer. I hope it's clear.
Actually, the next question follows the previous one. What is the day one playtime, day seven retention, and CPI for idle arcades to consider it to be taken further?
Okay, so if I will go to the table that we had in Crazy Labs, there is no specific for idle arcade. We know that they have higher CPI. So there's no specific, because it really depends on the retention and day one usage. Because if the retention will be 50 something and the usage will be like 2 hours, so CPI can be 70, 80 cents or something like that. Yeah. Again, it's not science. I can tell in general. But usually 40, 50 cents, that's the way that we can work with a decent retention and usage time, not like extremely high, but still good retention and usage time. Let's say around 40-45 percent day one, and like an hour of usage, something around this area. Again, it can vary, but around this area, it's good for either arcade.
Thank you so much. We have more questions in chat. So I will really appreciate if you can answer them a little
Yes,
later in the
yes,
general chat. And
yes.
the final question, really important. How guys can get in contact with you? Could you please share some contacts if studios want to approach you?
Sure, I will share always on LinkedIn. I'm there, but we have in our website. You can share your information, and we go back to every one that applied. And so I can share my email as well. But everywhere we have our website. You can contact publishing managers as well on LinkedIn. So I think those the best channels.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing a lot of insights. And guys, please find Hila in chat on LinkedIn, approach and ask questions and present
Definitely.
your games. It's a big chance for a bright future of your artwork. Thank you, Hila.
Thank you very much. Was happy to be here.
Have a great
Bye.
day. Bye bye.